So in this video, I will be going over the questions that you have to answer for the movie. You'll be watching the movie called Frida Kahlo, La cinta que envuelve una bomba. So basically, it's the ribbon that wraps a bomb. And so it's basically the story of Frida Kahlo. And so what I'll do here is just go over the questions with you to make sure you know what you're answering. So for número uno, it says, termina la cita de Frida Kahlo. She says, nunca pinte blanco, pinte mi propia realidad. So what did she paint? She didn't paint her something. She painted, I painted my own reality. So try to figure out what that is based on the film. The film is going to go a little fast, just so you know. So if you need to pause the movie at all at any point and just go back a little bit, please feel free to do that. If a student needs that, if you need that, just let the sub know or just pause the movie as needed. ¿Cuándo y dónde nació Frida Kahlo? So you should have subtitles as well for these. So when and where was she born? So you want to start with something like nació, and then you would say like or nació en, for example, like she was born in. So she nació en, and then you would say like the year, and then in, and then the date, or the place, perdón. ¿De dónde era el padre de Frida Kahlo? So era in this case means where was he from? ¿Cuál era su nacionalidad? So you would say like era de, and then you would say where he's from. ¿Cuál era la profesión del padre de Frida? So what was his profession? So you can say something like era, and then whatever his profession was. Again, if you need to stop the film and go back and grab a word that you need, then you can do that. Según el documental, ¿cómo era la madre de Frida? So we're asking in that case, what was she like, her mother? So we can say era, and then any adjective that you catch in the film that describes her mom. So era simpática, era alta, era creativa. So whatever it says in the film, you're going to answer it. ¿De qué enfermedad sufría Frida comenzando a los 6 años? So she had a sickness, and so we want to say something like sufría de, and then we're going to say what she suffered from. Sufría de cáncer, sufría de asthma. What did she suffer from? And then comenzando a los 6 años, beginning at age 6. There's a little phrase that was used to make fun of Frida when she was little. So they called her Frida Kahlo pata de palo. And we want to say what that is in English. So you could actually look that up after you watch the film. But what does that mean in English? ¿Qué decidió Frida a los 15 años? What did she decide at 15? So we could say anything from decidió viajar a México, or decidió salir de su casa, or decidió ser artista. Whatever she decided to do at 15, we would want to put it there. ¿Cuándo comenzó la Revolución Mexicana? So la Revolución Mexicana is the Mexican Revolution, and this created a lot of economic and political instability at the time. So we want to say when it began, so we would start with something like comenzó, in, and then the year. ¿Quién era Diego Rivera? So who was Diego Rivera? ¿Qué pintaba? What did he used to paint? Pintaba is a form of the past called the imperfecto, saying that he did it over time. ¿Qué tipo de artista era? So we could say something like Diego Rivera era, and then what was he? And then ¿qué tipo de artista era? What type of artist was he? Era and then, for example, un pintor de retratos, un pintor de autorretratos, maybe a muralista. You want to say what type of artist he was. Remember, en una experiencia inolvidable, Emilia era una artista de retratos. So we want to say qué tipo de artista era Diego. ¿Por qué Frida comenzó a trabajar? And why did she begin to work? And the hint, pista, is se relaciona con su familia. So we could say something like, and again, just get yourself started here. Comenzó a trabajar. ¿Por qué? And then you want to say why. And do your best. If you want to put any English down and then translate this after, you could do that. So you could do it at home and just kind of finish up your your work after. You do have a link to this movie that I'm going to give you if you wanted to watch it. I don't believe that you get the subtitles like you do in the actual DVD copy that you'll have in class with the subtitles, but you could always watch parts that you are unfamiliar with. ¿Qué tragedia le ocurrió a Frida a los 18 años? So some tragedy happened to her. So we want to say like tuvo, what did she have? Tuvo something. She had some type of accident. So tuvo un accidente de, and then we could say what it is. A los 21 años, ¿con qué partido político simpatizaba Frida Kahlo? So she was with a certain political party. So we could say simpatizaba con los republicanos or los demócratas or maybe los comunistas or los socialistas. And you want to say which political party. So you have to listen in the film to get the rest of the answer. Diego Rivera era guapo. Was he good looking? So we want to answer with sí or no. And then just tell me no era guapo or sí era muy guapo. That's her husband, actually, a famous artista. ¿Cuántos años tenían Diego y Frida cuando se casaron? And so they got married. They got married. They got married in 1929. And we want to say how old we are. So Frida tenía, how old was she? That's tener in the past is tenía if we want to say she was a certain age. And Diego tenía, so we need their ages. ¿Qué problema tenía Diego Rivera de esposo? What problem did he have as a husband? We want to say something like no era and then something. We're looking for the word faithful here. Termina la cita de Frida Kahlo. Yo sufrí dos accidentes graves en mi vida. Uno fue el tranvía, the train, y el otro fue, what is her other accident that she says she has in life? Diego fue, and here we were trying to say like the center of Frida's life. So, or like and it revolved around him. So something like that. So listen for the film for the center. Frida llamaba la atención. So remember, this is like it got people's attention, or she was interesting por sus trajes, which are her clothing, y también sus jewelry. So we want to look for the word jewelry. Frida y Diego pasaron blanco años en los Estados Unidos mientras Diego Rivera pintaba. So they spent this time in the United States, but how many years did they spend in the United States while he was painting? In Detroit, mientras Diego pintaba, Frida sufrió su segundo. So while he was painting, Frida suffered her second something. We need to know what it is. And actually, this is going to be the word for miscarriage, because this is really the tragedy of her life is that she suffered several miscarriages due to her accident that she had and not being able to have children. Termina la frase, la fertilidad de Frida se convirtió en. So the fertility of Frida, it converted itself into, or it became, and then we're looking for the word obsession. So as we watch the film, let's look for the word obsession. Termina la frase, las dos casas de Frida y Diego estaban unidas por un. So they were joined by a bridge. And we want to look for that word as we're listening. Al volver a México, so upon returning to Mexico, Frida se enteró de que Diego estaba íntimamente involucrado con su something menor. So he was intimately involved with someone younger, Christina. So what member of her family was he involved with intimately? And then the last question we have is, ¿qué revolucionario ruso era amigo de Frida Kahlo y Diego Rivera y se quedó con ellos? So we want to say the name of that Russian revolutionary que era amigo. And then the last thing you have to do after you watch the film. So by the way, you should only watch about the first 26 minutes of the film. So if you finish that in class, you can stop the film and you don't have to watch the whole thing. So the questions correspond to the first 26 minutes. So you'll watch this video first and then you'll put on the film. You'll answer the questions. You'll have a paper copy of this that I'm going over now. And then when you finish the film, I want you to contesta con tu opinión y observaciones qué te parece el arte de Frida Kahlo. So I want you to try to write, maybe about 10, let's say 8 to 10 sentences total here. Just telling me what it seems like. Use your art critique that we did in class when you had to talk about the paintings. And And then also you're supposed to find what your favorite painting is. So if you could print that out and then include it with this homework assignment that you're going to turn in. So print out your favorite retrato de ella. It doesn't have to be in color. And then try to describe it a little bit, like what it's called, como se llama, and then give me a little critique of it. So you know how you did the art gallery and you walked around? Use that vocabulary to critique the piece that you're going to turn in. So you're going to answer all these questions. You're going to then say, ¿Qué te parece el arte de Frida Kahlo? Just generally what you think about her art. Descríbelo, describe it. And then you want to pick a picture or a portrait or an autorretrato, and then you want to use your art description vocabulary that we used for the gallery walk to write me some sentences. So total, you should have about 8 to 10 sentences for this last piece. And I want you to watch some of these scenes too. So after you watch the movie, you can do these on your own, but there's 3 different scenes that I want you to watch from a different version of the movie. So I'll include these in Schoology for you so that you can watch them and click on them. So after you watch the 26 minutes in class and you do that, watch these 3 scenes because they're pretty good. And I think you'll get a little bit more clarity on what her life was like and just what she went through. And that's it. Muchas gracias, estudiantes. You'll hear more from me soon.